When he can't get to the head, he's going to the body to bring the elbow down.
And Andrew's trying to apply that total lockdown. Close guard, pulling in on the hips and trying to have head control. Trying to bring Marc's head as tight as he can down to him.
That guard game is great for a survival situation, but it's going to be really hard for him to attack from here.
That left hook to Ozzy's liver really made him wince. I'm wondering if he caught a little bit of liver with that punch right there. Nothing worse than a liver shot. I don't care what anybody says.
No, they're awful. Everything just shuts down.
And you feel like you're going to poop yourself.
Yeah.
A little too much information, but it was the truth. Nice short elbows by Stevens.
Let's go, guys.
And now you're hearing the referee, Kevin McDonald, who, by the way, refereed the last fight up in Boston for the UFC. And a little birdie told me that Kevin was on his way to getting the rotation with the UFC. Might be heading off to Brazil next month.
Oh, that's fantastic news. Great to see Kevin doing well. He's done a great job.
Best referee in New England, bar none. Outside of New England, he's horrible, but we love him around here.
Nice. Do it again. Mark, do it again, Mark.
So Mark's using that left elbow under the chin to kind of create that space so he can wind up and deliver the right elbow or hand.
Almost like a reverse crossface, just to try to get a little bit of separation, a little posture for those punches.
Yeah, as you can see, Ozzy Osbourne is just trying to keep him close, keep him tight, make sure those shots, even though they're landing, don't have any power behind them.
And to Mark's credit, when that arm is brought down very tight, like you see Andrew doing right now, he changes to a short elbow. Might not cut him, might not hurt him. And as you can see, Ozzy looks up, Andrew looks up, as if to say, really, ref, you're gonna let this go? But I have to say, it's your job to get off your back, not the referee's.
I would agree with that. And riding out a fight like that, you know, it's good for survival, but it's not going to get you the points you need on the judges' scorecard. It's not going to get you the finish.
When you whizzer, right, the opposite foot, whizzer right away, put that opposite foot on his hip. When he goes to pass, that's what you use to get up. Just like a wrestler, right? Use the cage, scoot you back up to the cage, okay? Good, everything else was fine. You heard when you knee him, one or two knees and break off, one or two knees and break off. He's getting too close, but you heard him, okay? Now this is what I want, right? I want you to come on circle, I want you to hit him with the two hardest body shots you can land. You gotta do it. Pump the jab at him, drop the level, right hand hook right to the body, and then move.
Well, Timmy, as you've been saying all night, and you heard it in Andrew's corner, put your foot on his hip and get some separation. I believe that's a Carlos Machado fundamental.
Correct. The idea is, as an opponent wants to strike you, they have to drive their hips forward. So if you can get a spacer in their hip, you can help, you know, restrict the damage that you take.
Rear leg kick that was caught by Stevens. And again, Stevens used the fence beautifully for the takedown.
See, the advantage over putting the foot in the hip over a closed guard is, in this situation, Andrew doesn't mind if Mark backs away from him. So he doesn't really have to cover that vector. He needs to kind of bring all of his resources to keeping him from coming forward. Because you don't mind if he backs up.
Exactly, I understand. Now, Timmy, from this position here, where Mark's concerned, although he did... Now we look like Andrew tried to roll out. Mark tried to take his back there, and the scramble ensued. Andrew tried for a belly-to-belly slam that didn't come through.
But Andrew did a good job creating a scramble there at the same time that Mark was trying to improve his position. I think that was a question you were trying to ask.
Exactly.
You can be very effective from somebody's guard, but after a round and a half or a round and a minute or two and it's not getting through, then he wanted to improve his position to see if he can get more leverage. So this is where the fight gets interesting. Both fighters are sweaty now, so takedowns get a little bit more difficult. Grappling, it's a little bit harder to control people.
And we also saw Andrew change his stance to a southpaw stance, trying to mix it up a little bit.
Absolutely, give him a different look, come from a different... It may have shown he was more interested in wrestling. Sometimes wrestlers who are righties prefer to have their right foot forward, but as conventional strikers, their right leg has to be in the back.
That allows their opponents like to be closer for the single leg shot, is that correct?
Well, they're just used to shooting off that front leg forward, so you'll see wrestlers switch their stance as a tell before they take a shot.
Stevens a little slow to get up off the ground there, breathing a little heavy. 3 minutes in a round, 2 minutes I should say in a round two. Nice counter right hand by Stevens as Andrew decided to rush in.
Marks doesn't have a lot of movement on his feet. He seems, happy to settle down and looks like he's trying to, snipe.
He also has no issue whatsoever with keeping his back against the cage, fighting off the cage. Nice right uppercut countered by a right hook. Overhand right by Mark Stevens lands.
Andrew's confidence is still there. It doesn't seem like
Superman
that first
punch
exchange.
miss. No, I have to agree with you. That first exchange did not make him blink. He brought that lead leg up very quickly and landed. Inside leg kick again by Mark Stevens. Now you see Andrew convert back to right-handed, and a beautiful takedown by Stevens. He backed up and allowed Andrew to come at him, and he caught Andrew on the way in.
Yeah, he's used that takedown several times. It's fantastic. He goes in deep on the double, and he follows through with his right leg. He traps so the opponent can't back up and regain their balance. And I think this is the second or third time in this fight he's pulled that off.
Now that left arm's a little exposed for Stevens, and now he brings it back in for the crossface.
I don't see the setups. I don't see Andrew on the bottom, creating wrist controls and angles that are going to get him ahead. It looks like he's trying to do his best to minimize damage.
Well, as we said earlier, in the closed guard, you can't really attack much of anything. That's all you can kind of do is survive or maintain your position. Once he opens those legs up and allows his hips to move, then maybe he can lean over and try for a sweep of sorts or attack a Kimura just to make your opponent defend. But in a closed guard, virtually you're stalled in that position, yes?
Absolutely. It's, you feel like you're getting close to attempts only to get reset. It's very tiring. It's very frustrating. And there are other forms of playing guard that can be more effective.
Well, Andrew seems very content on just letting it ride out 2 rounds in a row, virtually starting and finishing the round on his back.
I agree. There doesn't really seem to be a sense of urgency.
He doesn't look to me like he's looking to get up or even attempt. Now Stevens passed that to side control.
A lot of times guys on the bottom rely on people on the top to make mistakes. If you have a savvy competitor like Mark.
As we saw earlier with the gentleman from City Ottawa threw up that real quick armbar.
Yeah, there's a difference between capitalizing on somebody else's mistake and creating a mistake.
2 rounds of this fight in the books, and it's been a very controlled fight for Mark Stevens, in my opinion. Mark has definitely done a ton of work, and he's held top position, inflicted a little bit of damage, and hasn't received very much.
I agree. It'd be hard not to give him the first 2 rounds.
Just as I say that, he's bleeding from a cut to the top of the head. Sorry, Mark. That's my fault. I changed you.
Posture up. You're standing up and you're keeping your head low.
I think he cut himself shaving.
Posture up, knees in, so I can punch here. Boom, 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 okay? I got a lot of leverage punching straight down on him. All right, your elbows looking good. Keep on the body, keep on elbows into the ribs. You're doing great. But you got to move that head. Don't just sit there and look at it. It's easier to rest on your bike outside than it is to stand still. You're doing good, man. Beautiful work. Just keep it up. Keep that pressure up. You're going to break him.
Well, Stevens' corner seems very happy with what's going on. Of course, if you've seen Mark Stevens at all, this is his game. He likes to take you down and just grind you out on the ground. I think that we need to see a sense of urgency from Andrew Osborne. I believe he's down on the scorecards at least 2 rounds.
Well, it gets to be tough. Mark seems to like to get into an exchange, an engagement standing up.
Nice overhand right caught Andrew off balance.
And he catches you here and there, and as you set your feet and commit to returning, that's when he's dropping in for these shots. And it's really hard. When your feet are set and you're trying to deliver power, it's hard to be mobile.
Mark Stevens switches to southpaw stance. Back to an inside leg kick. Back to an orthodox stance for Stevens. Now you can see the nice left hook by Andrew. Stevens looking for that takedown again, and he broke. That was a knee that was coming up to the body, but as he backed off, the foot was extended on the knee, and that caught him in the groin.
I think the important thing before that low kick was that Andrew was able to stuff that takedown.
Very, very well. That's a big deal, and we see that more and more going into the third round. That takedown might not have as much punch on it as it did in the earlier rounds.
I think there's a few factors.
Here we go with the replay. You see the knee come up looking for the body, but the foot extends on the way out.
Yeah, purely unintentional.
But well placed.
You see, with the takedowns, people get more slippery, people get tired, and then also the fighter's getting taken down and has a chance to adjust.
You kind of find your opponent's timing on the takedown, and you're able to stuff it a little easier.
It's kind of like seeing a few fastballs. You get the speed.
Nice lead left hand by Stevens. Both men are throwing bombs at the moment. Nice overhand right by Stevens that lands right into a double leg takedown. Now, I don't think enough fighters do that. He set the takedown up off his hands and came forward with it.
He did a great job. He's got to be a little bit concerned right now. His head is tied up, and he's not completely free, and he's not in side control, so he's still in a little bit of danger. It doesn't look like he's, completely stuck, but he's got to be careful. There you go. He's freed his head. Now he's in a position he can start to settle down, keep his head over the center, and again, he's going to start to work inside, outside.
Finally looks like Andrew was going to attack an arm there. He looked like he was going for a Kimura for a second. He got on his right hip.
He is, but Mark's doing a great job of leaning to the side that he's trying to attack, which takes a lot of the sting out of the attack. Now he's passing to side control. He's doing a nice knee technique to step over. And
nice job by Andrew by attacking Mark's leg to try to not allow him to pass all the way around. He tried to hit the switch, he was just a little late on it.
Yeah, absolutely. He was able to sneak that leg in there, and half guard is a much better position than side control.
Now you'll see Stevens work to try to flatten out Andrew. Nice solid left hand from the ground.
I think this is where you kind of see Mark's experience. He's not getting overexcited, he's picking his shots.
Warning, back of the head strikes. Watch that elbow.
Well, no sooner did Mark look to the referee, and Kevin McDonald was right on top of it with that warning. Elbows are legal, but not to the back of the head. And the kind of way that you look at that is if you were wearing a set of headphones, anything past the back of the headphones is back of the head. I don't know if anybody remembers headphones. Everybody wears earbuds now. So.
I think you have to call him Dr. Dre something, Beats. Then all the kids will know what you're talking about.
I don't even know what I'm talking about. Nice short elbows from Stevens on top. He's doing just enough, working just enough not to have the referee stand him up. Although he's not advancing his position, he is working. And again, you just heard Kevin McDonald trying to usher them along. Hurry up, go guys. Stevens again makes another attempt at a short elbow. That'll buy him a few more minutes. It looked again like Andrew was trying to attack that Kimura. Stevens stepped over. Stevens rises up in a tripod. That's sometimes a lot of guys try to do that farther separation and to drive those punches down, and he got pulled back down by Andrew.
Yeah, in this position, I'd like to see, every time Mark stands up, I'd like to see Andrew try to sneak one of his arms inside of Mark's leg and start to spin his head towards his knee and see if he can get underneath. That would change the angle and give him a chance to mount an attack.
We have 30 seconds left, just about 30 seconds left in the third round, and what you're witnessing right now is how the previous two rounds have gone. Mark Stevens in a dominant position on top, working a lot of ground and pound, a lot of control, staying virtually in the guard the whole time, and just really putting some short, heavy punches and short, heavy elbows down.
Yeah, a very calculated, controlled fight.
Another short elbow.
But it's going to be hard to argue that he didn't win all three rounds.
And that'll do it. 3 rounds in the books. We're going to go to the judges. And the way that Tim Burrill and myself see it is a 30-27 across the board, 10-9 across the board for Mr. Stevens. Both fighters definitely, you know, they were in the game, but Mark looked to be just a little bit too strong, a little bit, like you said, calculating. Really did a very, very good job of controlling his opponent and inflicting some damage.
And while limiting some of his risk, which is smart.
Well, as we wait again for the judge's decision, I have to go back to what you've been really pounding on all night, Timmy, and it's very evident. If Andrew could have got his foot on a hip, he made no attempt to do so. You know, when he was on his back, he wasn't trying to attack the hip or the knee for balance, and he was more or less allowing his opponent, well, as you said, waiting for him to make a mistake, and Mark Stevens just too much of a seasoned veteran to make that very foolish mistake.
Absolutely. And, you know, I think the way that people play guard in MMA has to be updated.
Well, not our guys, but not anybody else.
In general, the perception of it. You know, we lead our guys towards working on people's balance, you know, slightly different set of rules. And I'd like to see people kind of change their philosophy and get more active off their back, make fights more exciting, use reversals more. Right. You don't see that. You know, there's two ways to get on top. You can take a person down, or once you get taken down, you can use a reversal or a sweep to get back on top and gain the advantage. It's always good to have two ways to win. If you lose the first way...
Right. If one door closes, open the other. Looks like the judges have rendered their decision. We're going to send this down to the cage. Take it away, Jamie.
Ladies and gentlemen, at the end of 3 rounds, we go to the judges' scorecards for a unanimous decision. All 3 judges scoring the bout 30-27 for your winner. Fighting out of the red corner, Mark Stevens.